Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're joining me from this beautiful Tuesday. Um, so how are we doing? How is everyone? I'm doing well. Mm, yes, I'm doing very well. How are you doing? I trust everything is okay with you. Let me confirm the volume. Okay, so yeah. All right, so welcome to Growth Habits with Ngozi. I am your personal guide on the journey of growth, and I remain your personal guide on this journey of growth. We are going nowhere, we are here together. We will get as far as we can on this journey. We will not give up halfway, we will not go the journey halfway. We will get as far as it is possible for us on this journey of growth. Um, like I always say, honestly, each day that I come out here and do this program, I grow. I learned something. Honest, it seems almost funny, but I learned something. Either as I'm talking, something I say strikes me, or a comment someone passes is just like, oh wow, I didn't give this thought before. So we learn together truly. So once you join me every Tuesday here, get ready to learn. There must be something. There must be something that you will learn that maybe you did not know before. Just know that for a fact and prepare. I don't know what's happening to my setup this morning. Okay, so it seems my camera seems bent and it refuses to straighten up. So anyhow you see me today, just take it like that. All right, so welcome to Growth Habits with Ngozi. As I said, I am your personal guide on this journey of growth. We are here every Tuesday, 12 noon. Every Tuesday, unless something comes up and we're not able to make it. But we're here every Tuesday, 12 noon right here on Facebook. Remember that at the end of the live, you can always watch the live on Facebook, but you can also watch it on YouTube. Just go to my YouTube channel, Growth Habits with Ngozi, and you can watch this every episode. In fact, is there. Every single episode we have done is on the YouTube page, and also the short videos I post within the week, they're also there on the YouTube channel. So please subscribe, comment, like, follow, do everything there. Um, Remember also, we're also on TikTok and we're on Instagram, Growth Habits with Ngozi. Just look for us there and you will see us. So we started this series on rest, and it's been interesting. Actually, it has helped me, quite a bit. I felt I was resting. I used to give myself credit that I rest. At least I make the attempt. Let me not even say that I rest. I make the attempt to rest. But in the process of this of this series, I found out that sometimes I'm just quiet. I'm not actually resting, and that is a big difference. And I've been making more effort to truly rest and truly recover. So we started by giving a general definition of rest, looking at what really is this rest we're talking about. And it's a state of ceasing work. Yes, a state of not working. Yes, a state of not doing any physical activity. Yes, but it's also a time to relax, to reflect, refresh, to recover. So if your period of rest is not affording you the opportunity to recover, it's not affording your body the opportunity to recharge, you have not truly rested. This is what we established in our first session on this rest. You need, your body needs to recover and to recharge. And that is what rest is for. Kelechi Iwala, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm glad to have you here. So that was what we discussed in our first session, which was session 77, I believe. we talked about generally what rest is all about. And, we all think rest is just sleeping, but it's not just sleeping. Sleeping is a form of rest, yes, but even just staying, even the walk that you take, the leisurely walk, not the one you're doing, sprinting about yet, walking, the leisurely walk that you take, and you are aware of your environment, you're noticing the things that are around you, that is a form of rest. So that was our first session 77. We talked about generally what is rest. In the next session, session 78, we talked about the different types of rest: physical rest, emotional rest, um, social rest, spiritual rest. And yes, there was something we when we looked at those different types of rest, we realized that um, the other rest is stopping something. When you rest physically, you stop activities. You just you rest, as they say. But we realized something when we looked at spiritual rest. Let me just bring it up because it came to my mind this morning. We said that spiritual rest involves reconnecting with your sense of purpose, reconnecting with your sense of meaning, reconnecting with your sense of belonging. So, spiritual rest is the one rest that is not really about stopping something. It's the one that actually involves doing something, because it means reconnecting to your maker, praying, meditation, reflection, such things. So, spiritual rest gives you a sense of peace, a sense of purpose, a sense of connecting to something larger than yourself, truly. And for me, and for any other Christian, that is connecting to God. And it's not about stopping something. That particular type of rest is connecting, doing something more, actually, being able to pray more, being able to meditate more. And that is how you experience spiritual rest. And that is the one rest that, to me personally, now this is a personal opinion, to me personally, if you can achieve spiritual rest, the other rests become easier, truly. If you can truly reconnect to your source, if you can truly reconnect to your purpose, your meaning, your sense of belonging, to rest physically should be easier. I believe so. Okay, so when we talked about the types of rest, I've mentioned spiritual rest, we talked about social rest, we talked about creative rest, giving your mind a break from too much ideas, flooding your brain and your thoughts. We talked about social rest. We talked about sensory rest. Yeah, that is, putting away the phones, putting away social media, putting away all those things so that we can give our senses a rest, because our senses do need a rest. I talked about being able to like shut down social media, phones, screen of any type, possibly, if you can, 30 minutes before you sleep. And there's also, a time for just keeping these phones away. Nothing will happen. Truly, nothing will happen. You keep the phone away for 30 minutes. No screen, no phone, 30 minutes, the world will definitely not end. It will definitely not end. So that was our session 78, where we talked about the different types of rest. Then session 79, we talked about rest and versus productivity. Um, and we looked at the fact that generally we think that rest is the opposite of productivity. It's actually not. It's not the opposite. They work hand in hand. When you're rested, you're more productive. When you're rested, you're more productive. They're not opposing. They're not opposing forces. They actually complement each other. And today, we want to look at the cultural perspective of rest. Um, Probably this session might be short or might be long. You never know. But as much as possible, I would like to get your insights. So as you connect, tell me where you're joining from and be ready to share with me some cultural perspectives you have noticed, you have seen, or you're aware of about rest. Different cultures view rest differently. There's not every culture that has inculcated rest into their cultural blueprint. Is not all. It's not all. But I found out that a lot of cultures all over the world have actually inculcated rest into their lives, into the very core of who they are as a people. And it was amazing to me to discover that, because really I didn't think when I funny, when I came up with the topic, I almost skipped it later on, because I was like, what is cultural perspective on rest? What will I even find? What's I don't think cultures really bother about rest per se. And I truly almost skipped it. I was like, nope, I'm going to do something else. I don't know what this is about. I don't really think there's going to be much to talk about in this area. But since I announced it last week, I didn't even know when I mentioned it last week, but since I announced it, I had to do the research. I've announced it. That is the topic for um, this week. So I had to do a little bit of research to try and find out how cultures see rest. And I also discovered in doing this research that there are, in the different cultural views on rest, you have things like naps, siesta, meditation, and work-life balance. These are the areas that these cultures tried to imbibe into their daily lives. And it's clear, it's clear, honestly, that rest is important. It's clear. It's very, very clear. It doesn't even need much gainsaying. Rest is important. It is important for us to rest. It's important for our body, soul, and spirit. It's important. It's very, very key. So I'm going to look at some cultures and what is their perspective on rest. Excuse me. 1 minute. Let me get some water. Okay. So I will look at some cultures, even some cultures in Nigeria. I'll look at cultures outside of Nigeria, but I'll also look at some cultures in Nigeria and how do they see, how do they perceive rest? How do they bring it maybe into their daily lives? And the first one, which we all say, but maybe we don't know where it comes from. When we take a nap in the afternoon, we say we're taking a siesta. I don't know if I'm sure we have heard it, I'm sure we have said it. And this actually originates from Spanish and Latin American countries. It's a traditional practice in Spain, and it's also a traditional practice in Latin American countries to take a siesta. That's an afternoon nap, a midday nap. It's part of their culture. And it is, like I said, it's integrated into their daily schedule. It's like a must do. Let me use that expression. It's like a must do. They set aside afternoons for naps. And from my research I did, this dates back to when the societies were cultural societies, and after the hard work, they needed to take breaks in the afternoon because the sun is high. You probably will not want to be doing any hard work in the hot sun. So they took that time to rest and recover. And it shows that even back then, rest was important. Now, that was physical rest generally. The siesta is physical rest. And I know that even till now, it's not even just back then. till now, they still practice this idea of afternoon naps, this idea of taking siesta in the afternoon. And honestly, I think I think they even do it in some parts of Germany, if I am correct. Some parts of Germany, if you go in the afternoon, the shops are closed. I think, yeah, was it Paderborn we traveled to one time, and in the afternoon, everybody closes their shop to take the afternoon rest. It baffled me because we're not used to such things. How do you shut down your business to go and take a nap? But they do it. They actually shut down and take a nap. Then they open back around 2, I think. I can't remember the timings now, and continue the business for the day. And their businesses have not gone under. Their businesses are still functional. So that tells you that as an entrepreneur, as that business person, that one man business, that small business that's just starting, that's just trying to establish some kind of presence, trying to establish your share, get your share of the market, there is a need for you to rest. That entrepreneur, there is a need for you to rest. If these businesses in these countries like Spain, I believe it was Germany, shut down in the afternoon so that the people who are working there, the owner of the business, whoever, can take a rest. And yet their businesses have not closed. Why will you not take your own rest? Why will you not establish times of rest? This is different from sleeping at night. In the hot afternoon, close that shop, take a power nap. Like I said, the world will not end. It's not that 30 minutes you decided to take that nap that all the customers you have not had since the world began will come. It's not. It's really not. So let's learn from these people. So siesta in Spain and Latin America, they observe siesta. They close down shop and they rest. Find time to close down your business. 30, like I said, 30, when I say close down, it doesn't mean that, 2 hours later. 30 minutes, catch a power nap, get that rest. You cannot know all the full benefits that will give you until you don't do it. Until you stop doing it, let me use that expression, or you don't do it and then your body breaks down. So I also found out that in Mediterranean cultures also, like India, China, Japan, their own form of rest is meditation. Oh, welcome, Okeodunze. You just had a power nap. You see, it's important. We don't realize it. We really don't realize how important these things are. It's so important. Now, I was talking about in Mediterranean cultures, their form of rest is meditation. We may not agree with their form of meditation. We may not agree with the way they do it, but we can agree with the fact that meditation helps you shut down for a second. That is what we are looking at. That is the aspect of their meditation that we are looking at. We don't have to agree with everything, but we should see the idea behind it. It's just giving your brain a rest. Now, when you're meditating, of course, your body is also at rest. That's their type of meditation. Body is also at rest, but your brain is also mainly at rest. You're not thinking. You're not overthinking. And we can practice meditation even as Christians. And now the difference between our meditation as Christians and the meditation of all those Eastern religions or Eastern, religions, is that as a Christian, when you're meditating, your mind is not blank. You're not blanking out your mind. You're choosing to think on the Word of God. You're choosing to concentrate your mind on the things of God. And truly, I'm trying to find the right words. I've seen that when we truly meditate as Christians, when we do it right, we I don't even know whether energized is the word, honestly. I don't even know whether energized is the word. We come out better. We are refreshed, we are energized. If you truly take time and shut off every other thing and think on the things of God, think on the word of God, you don't have to spend too much time. Truly. Sometimes, yes, it can get long, but 30 minutes. Just meditate on the goodness of God for 30 minutes. I promise you, when you come out of that 30-minute meditation, your body will know the difference. Truly, it sounds, I'm not using, my body shouldn't be affected by this, but it truly is. I can testify to this. I can tell you for a fact. So, power nap, we have talked about power nap in Spain and Latin American cultures. We've talked about meditation, and I've told you that, you don't have to do the meditation of the Eastern religions, the way they blank their mind and such things. You can meditate on the Word of God. Just take that 30 minutes. Think on the Word. Even if it's just one scripture you think on for that 30 minutes, you will come out refreshed. I've not seen, maybe if somebody else has seen, please do tell me. I have not seen where someone truly spent time with God, whether it's in prayer or in meditation or in church or in whatever, truly spent time with God, not religious activities, not religious duties. No. You truly spent time with God, even if it's 5 minutes. I have never seen where you come out and you're tired. I've never seen it. I told us that God has compressed time for me in sleep when we talked about sleep. And it's it's funny. You will sleep for, let's say, 2-3 hours, maybe because you did a vigil or something. I've done all night vigil and went to work the next day after sleeping for 1 hour. Went to work the next day, and there is nothing that will tell you that I did not sleep at night, because God compressed that 1 hour of sleep for me. It was like 8 hours of sleep. I woke up so refreshed, so ready to, do everything. So if we properly practice these things, honestly, if we properly practice these things, our lives cannot remain the same. So we're talking about cultural perspectives on rest. But as we came into this point of meditation, I felt it's important to mention this aspect. Meditation is not about blanking your mind, really. For a true child of God, is pondering on God, pondering on His goodness. Just like I said, 5 minutes is enough. Because really, I think that I digress here, but it's okay. I think that part of the problem why, as Christians, we don't seem to be experiencing all that we should in God is because we spend a lot of time doing a lot of religious activities, and we are not truly spending time with God. I was talking to someone recently about prayer. I was trying to tell her to pray about a particular situation. And she said, I've been praying. I said, no, you have not. You have been complaining to God about that situation all this while. That is what you have been doing. I'm not with her. I'm not in her house. But I know that what most of us do in our times of prayer is to complain to God or make our requests, known in quotes. we don't spend time with him. We don't allow um, we don't allow communion to happen with him. And then we come out and we say he did not answer us. Or we come out and we say, we're not better off. You can't be better off when you don't spend time with God. What makes the difference is the time, is him. Is the staying with him that makes the difference. It's not the words you say. It's not the prayer in quotes you pray. That is not what brings about the testimonies, that brings about the changes. It's not the words that we say. It's not even the hours we spent. It's the fact that we spent it with him. So, as I said, I digress, I know, but I believe it was a necessary digression. So we can't truly find rest. I believe this so much if we don't truly spend time with God. Where is the rest going to come from now? Where will it truly come from? Okay, welcome Chidi Otamiri. I'm glad you're here with me this afternoon. We're talking about cultural perspectives on rest today, and we have talked about siestas, taking power naps. And this is part of the culture of some parts of Spain and in Latin America. It's part of the culture. Like I said, I've experienced it. You visit some of the more rural villages, not when you go to Barcelona now. Barcelona is now modernized. But if you go to some of the villages, you will see that afternoon they close their shop, they're going to rest. They're going to rest before they reopen the shops. And in some places in Germany to have experienced this, in the afternoon, from I think 12 or 12:30 or something, they shut down because they are going to rest. Then they reopen the shop afterwards. Then we talked about meditation. And I know that meditation is something that can be very controversial, but I've given us a perspective on meditation, the Christian perspective on it actually, and I believe that that will help us. Then I read also, I saw that in some Scandinavian countries, um, like Sweden, Denmark, Norway, they inculcate in their culture short work days. Is like, I think, it's just normal. They inculcate short work days, extended vacation times, and time spent with family. Is part of it's part of their culture. Short work days, extended vacation times, and time spent with family. I saw, can I find that? Excuse me, yes. In Sweden, they have what they called, I hope I'm pronouncing this well, fika breaks, where employees pause to enjoy coffee and conversations with colleagues. And it is part of the workplace culture. This is not your lunch break. This is not your lunch break. This is just a time where, work pauses. People take a break and they pause, enjoy coffee, enjoy conversations with their fellow colleagues. This is all part of the rest culture. Rest. Now, in some tribes in Nigeria, let me come home because I've been talking about outside with myself. Okay, that's them, that's the Oyibo people. Let me come home. Now, I read this, and I guess I knew it, but maybe I never really thought of it as a cultural practice of rest. In the Igbo culture, it says that traditionally, after the work day, traditionally in Igbo culture, in the evenings, there are a lot of, communal gatherings, time to come together, tell stories, reflect, tales by moonlight, things like that. And I didn't realize that this was a form of rest. But in doing this, I realized that it really is. You have worked the whole day, probably in your farm, and you have done some hard work. So you come back in the evening and it is a time to just sit together And now we are not doing any great big thinking exercises at these gatherings. We are just relating with our family. We're just relating with our community. We're just relating one with another. That is a form of rest. And this I know is part of Igbo culture. We are losing it truly now that I think about it. I only have faint memories of such things when I was younger. Faint memories of when my grandmother, was still alive. When everybody comes back from work, we all sit together, gist, talk, stories, all those things. We should not allow such things to disappear. It is a form of rest and energizing ourselves and reviving ourselves. Let's bring back these, practices. This was part of our culture then. Let's bring it back. I mean, of course, we don't all go, now, but we all go to work. We all go to our offices. Let's come back and have that time to sit with our families, to just enjoy the company of one another. It is a form of rest. Um, Most other cultures I noticed in Nigeria may be wrong, but this was what I saw in my short time of researching. Like I said, I didn't want to do this topic. I really did not want to do this topic because I felt there wouldn't really be much to talk about. I felt there wouldn't be much to talk about. So I had made up my mind that I would skip it. I had written it down as part of what I would talk about when I planned the whole rest series, but in time I felt I would remove it. There's really no need. Until last week, I don't know what prompted me to say it out that this week we're going to talk about cultural perspective on rest. And even with that, I couldn't get myself to initially begin to look into it. But when I finally decided to look into it, I just saw one or two things that I felt were quite interesting. So, um, in the I believe Yoruba and Hausa cultures, there's a lot of meditation, imbibed into the culture. We could say, they're meditating on pagan things, possibly, but that is not what we are looking at today. It's the fact that these things are built into the culture to give people a time to reconnect, to give people a time to recharge, to give people a time to commune, to get together, a time to just be neighbors, to just be family, is inculcated into our cultures. But we are slowly losing these things. We are slowly throwing these things away in the bid to hustle and make it, in the bid to be modern, probably. We're throwing some of these things away, but it is necessary. It is necessary. In the Jewish culture, we know that there's something called Sabbath rest. You work up till Friday evening, then, you rest till Saturday evening. Some people even, went to the extent of, they carried it over to our modern times, and on Sundays, they don't do any work. It's just church. So, this tells us that rest is so important. This tells us that it's critical to take these breaks. This tells us that it is so important to give our bodies time to revive, recharge, so important to have a time to just be with our fellow human beings. We're losing the human touch. We're losing human communication. I believe so. Because, like I think I mentioned this one time. Um, I met up with some of my friends some some months back. And it was when I saw them that day that I realized I have not seen them for 1 year. We chat on WhatsApp. We meet in, prayer meetings on WhatsApp. You Google Meet or some kind of one platform or the other. But we had not seen for 1 year, one whole complete year. So we are losing touch of human communion. We are losing it. And it's a form of rest. When you sit with your family and friends and just stay, just enjoy the company of your family or your friends. You are not doing any great big thinking or exercise. Just sit, play games. Sit, discuss. How was your day? Truly connect on a human level. Truly connect. That is a form of rest. And it is inbuilt into our culture, but we are losing touch with it. We are no longer bothered about such things. Yes, I know things, have changed. Society has changed. Crime, what have you. Yes, but we can still maintain some of these things and um, help ourselves. Help ourselves. You can imagine what will happen if every day, I still remember the days when my children were young, and as I'm talking now, I'm seeing that that was actually a form of rest, but I didn't really see it as that. When they were young, when I come back from work and to checked homework, what have you. We used to go out to the front of our house. The next compound to us was like an open field, and we would play ball. We would run around. We would fall on the ground, whatever it's meant at that time. We would do all that rolling around, do all those things before we now come back, start doing dinner and everything. And those times were really quite refreshing. Now I'm thinking about it. Then I just, I did it because I felt I work all day. I need to have a time to connect with my children. That was what I was using that time for. But now that I think about it, those times were quite refreshing. Yes, I connected with my children in those times, but I also refreshed after all the stress of work, after all the things I had to deal with in the office. It was a time also for me to refresh. So let's really make efforts. Let's make efforts to discover these times they exist. No, forget all this about over busyness, honestly. It's too much. It's too much. There's nothing like hustle in that sense. Let's stop hustling. Yes, we should do things. We should get things done. We should make sure, we are doing our very best. But let's stop hustling. Maybe we should even throw that word away from our vocabulary. I think it somehow makes us, we are on this constant, I must be doing. No. When you rest, you do better. You're more productive. You recover. Your brain is more active. Your brain detoxifies itself, and you're able to achieve more when you have rested. I've talked about Sabbath in that is Jewish culture. Um, which other culture should I even mention before I round up? Okay, we've talked about power nap. Do you know that in Japan, yes, that's another place that they practice power napping? It's called sleeping while present. That's the English translation. I don't even want to murder the Japanese word inemuri. I don't know that's how it's pronounced. I should have done this. I should have done Google sound to sound it out for me so that I have a better idea of how it's pronounced. But the English translation is sleeping while present, which is a power nap. Power nap. And it is part of their culture. Short Short naps. Short naps so that your brain rests, you recharge. And we know that Japan is one of the most intense working cultures, and yet they have power naps inbuilt into their culture. We know those people work like robots. They do. They're one of the most hardworking people. And yet, they have inculcated these power naps into their culture. It's a known thing. They know that the body needs rest, and this short rest helps. So it's clear, looking across cultures, looking across traditions, looking across communities, it is clear that rest is important. It cannot be overemphasized. Sometimes it looks like we are harping on something over and over, but it's because it's how important it is. Because of how important it is. Let us learn to rest, please. Um, let's just learn it. I don't know how else to put this, but it's important. It truly is important. Let's learn. And remember, I said rest is not just sleeping. No, it's not just sleeping. Just being able to shut down for short intervals. Shut down the 1,001 thoughts going through your head. Shut down the trying to solve the whole problem of the world. Just shut it down for a brief period and allow your brain to recover. Allow your brain to refresh itself, to heal itself. Because that is how the brain is actually created. It heals itself. We have to give it the time to do that. We have to give it the time to take that rest. Okay, so I think with this, okay, I'm just looking through the things I noted down. I'm seeing that also in Italy, they practice these afternoon breaks. They practice it also in Italy. It says that many businesses close between 1 and 4. Wow, their own is even long, allowing workers to go home, rest, and enjoy a meal with family before returning to work. Can you imagine that? Yes, okay. It even says here that it's diminished in many larger cities now due to modern work schedule, but it's still common in smaller towns. Just like I said when I talked about Spain and Germany, in the smaller towns you still see these things at work, and in the smaller towns you see very old men, very old women, which you don't see in the large towns that are work, 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 work. You see very old men, very old women, still active, still agile. They're practicing rest. They're practicing rejuvenation. So I'm just trying to skip through my notes quickly and see if I can find any other distinct cultural practice around rest. Okay. Okay, I think this will basically, every other one that I noted down here is basically saying the same thing. In these cultures, they built in a time to shut down, a time to rest, a time to meditate, a time to be with family. You see, this is one chord that seems to run through all the cultures, is that giving time for family, giving time for community. So let's practice these things. And remember that I mentioned when I talked about meditation, spiritual meditation for a Christian, it is a time that you get re-energized. Honestly, I'm just lacking words a little bit on how to describe the benefits of meditating on the Word of God for a Christian, the benefit of taking out time to just sit with your Father. You are not asking him anything. You're not asking him anything. You're not pointing out anything to him. You're just having a conversation with him. You're just loving on your father. I cannot tell us how beneficial that could be. Honestly, you come out of such sessions refreshed. And you come out of such sessions even with ideas that you're like, where did this come from? Because you know it's not you. You know it is not you. So let's truly practice rest in every sense of it. The sleeping, quality sleep at night, the power naps, as much as is possible to do for us, the meditating. Remember the meditation that I've mentioned. These are things that will help you, that will give your body time to refresh, renew, recharge, and come out better. You'll be more productive. We talked about this last week, that rest is not the opposite of productivity. They go hand in hand. When you're well rested, you are more productive and you can achieve more. And as I say this, I try to tailor this more to our working entrepreneurs. But even you that is staying at home, you a stay at home mom, you a stay at home dad, you work from home, please. You see, I found that it's even more difficult to rest when you're at home. Funny, but it is even more difficult for that person that is in the house to rest, because you feel, okay, I'm not working now. I don't mean the person that's working from home. I mean the stay at home mom, the stay at home dad, the retired man, the retired woman, or you're temporarily out of work. You sit in the house all day and you think you're resting. You assume you're resting. But you see, you're even probably doing more than when you were working. So learn to also um, curtail the overactivity when you are not physically active. Is that, I don't even know whether that expresses it properly, but you're staying at home, you're not really going to the office, you don't have a business currently that you're running. Learn to truly rest. Don't just say, okay, I'm not doing anything, so of course I'm resting. Let the time be truly a time that you take out that actual time and rest, even in the midst of the apparent inactivity. Even in the midst of that apparent inactivity. Because most times your brain is working overtime in that time that you're just sitting at home. You're trying to calculate so many things. Give your brain a rest too. Give your brain a rest too. So we have looked at different aspects of the cultural perspective of rest. And we can see that it is important for us to rest. And with this, we come to the end of this session. I believe our next session will either be on rest in the digital age or barriers to rest. Um, I don't know which one right now, but it should be one of those. And then we'll begin to round up on this conversation. So begin to round up on this conversation on rest. Is either rest in the digital age or barriers to rest. We'll take one of them next week, and then the other week we'll take the other one, and we conclude this series on rest. I hope you learned something today. I hope I'm able to convince you and not confuse you, as they say. I hope I'm able to convince you that there is a need for us to rest. It has been inculcated into most of our cultures and many cultures all around the world. We just need to lay hold of it and practice it until it becomes part and parcel of our daily lives, part and parcel of what we do. so that we can come out more productive. Okay, Chidi says, thanks so much for the it. Okay. Always enlightening and instructive listening to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Okay, so thank you once again for joining me this afternoon. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles. We're on Facebook, Growth Habits with Ngozi, and also on this my personal channel. We're on Instagram, Growth Habits with Ngozi. We're on TikTok, Growth Habits with Ngozi. We're on YouTube, Growth Habits with Ngozi. Follow me on all these social media handles and also my personal page on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Ngozi Onwucheloba, that is my name. I share as much as possible things that I believe will help each and every one of us grow. And like I always say, I go on this journey with you. As I'm talking, I am learning. From the comments you make, I am learning. From the questions people ask, I am learning. So we are learning together and we are growing together. So remember to make today and every single day count. Be valuable always, always add value. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, ensure that you're adding value in one way or the other and grow constantly. Keep on growing in everything and in every way, except horizontally. We don't want to be growing fat. We want to be healthy. So don't grow out of health. No, grow in every other aspect of life. And I will see you again next week, Tuesday, right here on Facebook, Growth Habits with Ngozi. Thank you so much for joining me today. See you next week, Tuesday. Bye.